I wanted to say hello, you guys. We have fueled up. We are getting on the road. We are headed to the plantation.
So excited.
So we will check in with you guys and keep you filled in.
Bye.
Bye. You guys, we made it here. It's still light. It is gorgeous. Paige, how excited?
I'm too excited.
You roll up, it is amazing. Even the trees seem to like speak to you. And the second we rolled up, I'm like, oh my God, I can even feel it in the pit of my stomach. Like, I'm so freaking ready for this. So we gonna go. Y'all up there. You could almost feel somebody watching you. It's crazy beautiful here. Say that again? Okay. But I wonder if we can still walk and go see the front. Oh my God, Paige, do you smell it?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know. God.
Is it plants?
It's not this. It is.
Tell me there's people in there.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. I'll take a good picture.
So we gotta say, we got something. As soon as we walked up, you could smell flowers blooming, and there's
no flowers.
No flowers, nothing anywhere. So we go to check in, and she said, oh, well, that's probably Sarah. Sarah is a ghost who likes to wear, what is it, French sweet smelling perfume. So we have maybe had our first encounter. Video of this too. It is so pretty. Holy cow. Okay, so tested theory. We came back to see if we could smell it again and to see if we could find any flowers. We don't even smell it again. We're in the same
Nothing.
exact spot. And I have the video. I'll make sure that I play it. That shows me asking Paige if she can smell it. Because I'm curious to see if we see anything. So.
It was very much a distinct smell, and there's nothing.
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 Hello, I want to be your guide through a few of these pictures that you're going to see. Just going to give you a little shot of the photos and maybe a little bit about what we heard in the house. So first up, this is our sweet little guide. She did a fantastic job. She was really informative. This was a mystery tour, so we got to hear a bit of the history as well as some of the stories that people have gathered over the years by staying in Myrtle Plantation. So she did a really great job. Note that she is in garb of the time. I noticed after the fact that she was wearing all black. I feel like this may be as a sign of respect to the spirits in the house, that she is wearing mourning clothing. So just a little tidbit. So when you go into Myrtle Plantation, you walk in through the front door here that she is standing in front of, and you head into the foyer. Now, the second I stepped over the threshold, I felt an overwhelming sense of walking into a fog, into a dream. I think this has a lot to do with the fact that there is so much in this house. There's so much tragedy. There's so much energy piled in through years and years and years that it is super palpable when you walk inside. Even standing around, you know, I mentioned that even the trees feel like it really is. This land is vibrating with the energy that they have here. But this house, very, very much so. And I noted that after, almost all of my photos from inside the house do seem to have a fog. They're very foggy. Now, I know it is dark in there, so that usually tends to be more grainy. However, these are not simply grainy. They are foggy. So, I usually know how to use an iPhone. I'm pretty awesome at it. But this is what I have. This is what turned out. I do want to make another trip during the day to see if maybe I can get some better pictures, but here's what I have. Here are a few tales anyway. So the first one I'm going to show you is a mirror. Now this mirror is nothing spectacular to the naked eye. However, when you look closer, you will see very much why this mirror is so important. So this was the first picture that I took when I walked into the house, along with the second picture, which I'll go into in just a bit. So I walked in, and the first thing that caught my eye was the mirror. And I'm going to try to blow it up here. If I can't, then I'll insert it. But this is the mirror. So you will see a bust with a with a hat on. On that side, if you look above this bust, you will notice that there are little handprints there. Little bitty fingerprints. Looks like from kids. On the opposite side, you will notice this blob. This was about the best picture I can get, but in person it is ridiculous. On this side appears to be the shadow of a woman's face wearing, coincidentally, a hat. So the story about this mirror is that they have tried to re-silver the back 10 times. And every time they have re-silvered, it will look fine for a while, but within 2 years, these same images will continue to appear. Now, when they had home funerals, everyone used to cover mirrors with black or dark cloths. Because the legend had it that if a spirit saw themselves in the mirror, that they would be trapped there. So they often say that these are a couple of trapped spirits in the mirror. So the second picture that I took was of these stairs. Why? Because the second I looked at them, I felt really heavy in my chest. It was really tight. I almost felt kind of panicky when I saw these steps. So I knew that this wasn't coming from me. So I took a picture just to kind of document, like, what am I feeling right away. So I snapped the picture here. Now, I will go into a little bit later what happened on these steps. Matter of fact, here's another picture of the steps when we walked past. They were just really drawing to me. And like I said, I didn't know why. I've only heard one story about the Myrtle Plantation, which I'm about to tell you. I did not know about this one. So it was a shock to me, but definitely revealed why I felt this way. So here's another shot of the stairs with our tour guide on it. This is where she was telling us the story that I feel like most people have heard about Myrtle Plantation. A slave owner fell into lust, if you will, with a slave girl named Chloe. Now, Chloe came into the house, she became the housemaid, and she basically raised the 3 children there. And she had a really bad habit of eavesdropping. She had been warned many times that the next time she was caught, that there would be repercussions. Well, the final time she was caught happened because of a business meeting that took place in the gentleman's parlor. The doors were shut, the men were talking, and when they went to open it, when they were finishing up, Chloe had been down on her knees with her ear against the door, and she came tumbling in. Now, as soon as the guide began to tell us this story, I felt this overwhelming presence here, is the best way to describe it. And the whole time she spoke of Chloe and her story, I was getting very strong emotions. Now, I can retell this story a bazillion times. I've heard this story a bazillion times. It does not evoke emotion within me. However, with that presence here, I was feeling very, very strong emotions coming from these stories. When she spoke of Chloe toppling in, I felt a cold panic. I felt shocked and worried and angry and sort of betrayal. And I almost felt as if I were tumbling into the room. There was a lot of panic and a lot of hurt. And I feel like because this energy was so strong in the house was why this entity feels very strongly and emits these emotions every time the story is told. So moving on a little bit, not only did he take her ear for doing so this last time, because it was in front of people, it was very embarrassing. He did indeed take Chloe's ear, in which she began to wear a turban around her head to hide her missing ear. Now, not only did he do that to her, but he also removed her from the house. In doing so, he put her in the kitchens, which was basically an insult, and she was very upset about it. Now, all she kept honing in on was that she wanted to get back into the house. So what better way than to get the girls sick, and then they would call for Chloe, because she had raised them. If they were going to feel bad, that's who they were going to want. So she wanted to do everything in her power to get back in that house. So she decided one day, when their birthdays were coming up, I believe 2 of them shared a birthday very close, so they celebrated together. So Chloe decided to make the cake for them. Now, I can very much tell you that this was an accident. The energy that I felt when the story was told, I have no doubt in my mind that this was an accident. So what happened was Chloe gathered oleander. Oleander, unbeknownst to her, was is incredibly toxic. One oleander leaf ingested is enough to kill a full-grown horse in the matter of hours. And so, knowing just that it would make you sick, Chloe went out and grabbed a handful of oleander. Obviously, a mistake. She didn't understand what she was doing. She thought that this would make them sick. However, when she boiled them down and cooked them into the cake, it killed 2 of the daughters and the mother. The owner of the plantation was away on business, because again, this was not to kill him or harm anyone. This was to get them sick and get her back into the house. He was away, so he was not affected, and the littlest daughter could not yet eat cake, so that saved her. And so when this happened, Chloe obviously panicked. She ran outside, ran to the other slaves, told them what had happened, and begged them to hide her or help her escape before anyone came home. But they turned on her. They held her captive. She was tried and hung on the property, and then her body was thrown into the Mississippi so that she would not be buried and come back to the property again. But we all know that that is definitely didn't help. That definitely didn't help. She is back on the property and has been for many years. So moving on, you'll see I'm going to flash a couple of pictures of some of the mirrors in the house and some of the pictures here of the chandeliers, which the second owner of the house, Ms. Sterling, was very superstitious. So within her medallions that sit above the chandeliers, they all have meanings. They're special leaves meant for hospitality and protection. In her own room, her own business room, where she spent her days, you will see here, there are 4 nuns facing the 4 corners of the room, up at the very top. And then at the bottom of the chandelier, there are cherub angels, which focus on the bottom 4 corners of the room. This was because, and a fact for me, she believed that anything dark stayed within the corners of the room, which I still very much believe. If there's a dark spot in the house, that's usually where any malevolent or negative energy will reside. So she had these facing the top, but they believed that during the day, that's where the spirits were, and then at night they would come down. So she protected herself from day and night any bad spirits, which makes me think back and wonder if these people, these second owners, felt the presence of the girls and Chloe in the house, what they saw. That's one of those things that I wish I would have asked, but I didn't. So when I go back, I swear I'm starting a list of things that I want to ask when I go back, because the more it sits there, the more I got questions. I got more questions. In the moment, it was just, like I said, it was very overwhelming. I didn't know what to expect. I knew there was energy there. I didn't realize how much energy, and I didn't realize how much it would affect me. So anyway, questions, y'all. So moving on, I have pictures of the dining room. This is where they ate the infamous cake. It is said in this room that the children are often in there playing. And the last owner of the house, which obtained it in the 90s, had a little boy. And he kept asking his mother if he could swing from the chandeliers. And she was like, no, no, you cannot swing from these chandeliers. I don't want to see you anywhere near them. No. Well, he then came back to her with, well, why can the little blonde hair girl do it and I can't? Immediately she brought him to a child psychiatrist. She was worried. She found out from the doctor that with him being so young, I believe he was 4 or 5, that there was no way that he was concocting this story so elaborately and repeating it the same way each time. He really did see a little girl hanging from this chandelier. And it is said that even to this day, sometimes the workers, or during a tour, you'll walk into the room or be in the room and notice the chandelier begin to swing. So next up is a picture of the women's parlor. Again, this is where it gets really blurry, and is the psychic center of the house. This room is very palpable with energy, and again, it seems like you're in a dense fog. This is where the ladies stayed. This is where all that gossip happened, right? So there was a lot of movement in this space of the house. When they had soirees, they would open this and the gentleman's parlor, which butt up next to each other. That's where those pocket doors are, where Chloe fell in. They would open it all up, and it appeared to be like a grand ballroom. And they would open all the windows and doors, because in those days, especially in Louisiana, I'm not sure about anywhere else, but our doors and windows often in these really old houses went up into the ceiling or out into the walls or came completely off the hinges. So this was expanding the room onto the porch, to where you were constantly in and out of the house with a cool breeze. Not really in Louisiana, but you know what I mean. So this is the center of the house. Now, the gentleman's parlor, which I did not get very good pictures of because they were super blurry. This is kind of all that I was able to salvage. A lot of stuff happened in here, and when we got in here, I discovered why I was having these feelings around the stairs. So in this room, the second owners, which were the Sterling woman and her husband, William Winter. William Winter was in this gentleman's parlor with his son on a Sunday, I believe, in January. And he was teaching him, I believe, like Sunday school stuff. And they heard someone riding up on a horse calling for an attorney. They needed an attorney. They were looking for someone, blah, blah, blah. So William goes out onto the porch and says, well, I'm an attorney. What's going on? Can I help you? And the man on horseback asks, are you William Winter? And he says, yes, I am. And the man took out a pistol and shot William Winter in the chest. He fell back and collapsed into the gentleman's parlor and started calling out for his wife, Sarah. Sarah could hear the horse hooves coming up, and she did hear a gunshot. When he started to call for Sarah, his son helped him, and he basically like walked/crawled from the gentleman's parlor through the women's parlor straight up the stairs. Sarah began to scream, started to run down. He made it up to the 17th step and collapsed and died in her arms. Hence the reason my chest hurt so bad, and I had so much feels when I experienced the stairs for the first time. So I had never heard this story about Myrtle Plantation, so it was very, it had me shook, y'all. So there you go. This last room that we were able to tour is, it used to be originally, in Chloe's time, it was the children's dining room. Then Miss Sterling, when they owned the house, it was all the rage to have a game room. So this is where they played cards, and you'll see a couple of pictures from there. In this room, I felt very distinctly someone grabbed my arm. I thought it was Paige. It was not, and I totally freaked her out at that point, but I did feel a very strong grab on my arm when I was in this room, and I have a feeling that it was this little beauty. So let me tell you a little bit about Kate. Kate is the daughter of Sarah Sterling and William Winter. They had the son who helped his father up the stairs, and then they had Kate. Kate was 3 years old when she contracted the fever. They don't know if it was yellow fever or scarlet fever. And her grandfather loved her very, very much. And I call that was his baby. You know, he loved this little girl more than anything. They had tried all kinds of regular medicine and nothing was working. So in a last-ditch effort, he went to the plantation near them and got Cleo. Cleo was a slave there, or well, not anymore. This was right after the Civil War, so maybe not. I don't really know how that works. So Cleo makes a goodie bag for Kate, puts it under her floorboard, and the next day Kate dies. The grandfather was very upset, so he went back to the plantation and grabbed Cleo and hung her and died 3 days later of the same fever. So you don't mess with voodoo. You definitely don't blame a high priestess for killing your granddaughter and then murder her. Really not a good idea. Anyway, so Kate has this beautiful picture. Again, I'm going to try to make this one bigger so you can see. If you need to, press pause because it's worth it. If you look on, let's see, if it's facing, because I don't know if it'll switch it around, but you'll be able to tell. There's going to be one side of her face that looks very bright and vibrant, whereas the other half of her face, you will notice that her eyes are sunken, her cheek is sort of pinched, and her little arm is swollen. This is a life and death portrait. Half of it was painted while she was alive, and the other half was done upon her death. So there you have the picture of sweet little Kate. So I kind of lost track. I had it up and then I lost it. I don't know if there's any more pictures that I have. I think Kate is my last one. Oh, no. Then, my last ones I'll show you are the outside of the house again at night, and you will see my crazy camera angles and all kinds of little fuzzy stuff on there, just for funsies. So this was our trip to the Myrtle Plantation. My first, but definitely not my last. Like I said, I've already started to have a list of questions that I want to ask. I want to go in the daytime so I can see a little better, maybe take some more pictures of the house, and just kind of spend some time walking the grounds while it is daylight. And so I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give me a like, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be going to a few more plantations. I'm going to be able to share this kind of stuff with you as well. A little bit more about Louisiana and its haunted history, because it's something that has always intrigued me ever since I was a really little girl and had my own happenings occur. So again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys very soon. Much love. Bye.